Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel How to Paint Watercolours with me Colin. I've chosen this one to paint today. It's going to be a winter scene, well, a mountain winter scene, and I've just stretched my paper and I've left a thin film of water on it. So I'm just going to drop some yellow ochre in, very weak, around about in here, bringing it into the trees, a little bit on this side. Naples yellow. Straightforward cobalt blue, relatively pale. Just allowing all the paint to flow onto the top of the film of water you've left it on. Just bringing it down to meet the Naples yellow and the yellow ochre without mixing it in. That would be a green, and green skies will trouble you. So that's right at the top. This is Payne's grey blue shade, just to add a little bit of depth to the top. Don't allow this colour to hit the yellow, and then just a tiny drop Payne's grey blue shade and burnt umber. And there we have a relatively simple sky. When it comes to the trees, I'm just dropping in some light red just in places, not everywhere, very weak. Some of the Payne's grey blue shade, weak once again, it's just a bit of colour. And then we're going to allow that to dry. I think I may have forgotten to mention, I did actually mask off the outline of the mountain so the sky wouldn't penetrate into it. So I'm just re-wetting this area after rubbing the masking fluid off up to the line, bringing it down through the trees, and I'm taking some of the Payne's grey blue shade. I do not want it to be too strong, so I'm going to water that down, and we're going to add some shadow side into some of these mountains. And that really is just how simply it's done, nothing difficult. Once again, this has to dry. Now that that's dry, I'm just taking a small round brush, and with some of the Payne's grey blue shade, I'm going to move it in here, and it does have a touch of burnt umber with it. I just want to let it down slightly, and I'm going to put some crags and rocks in on this mountain, and I'm just using the tip of a small round brush or anything you feel comfortable with just to put some detail in. The tip and the side, just dragging the brush, creating the shape. Dragging some of that paint down and allowing it to run out. Just to create the steep slopes, cracks, wiggle the brush. Very little paint on the brush. This brush is almost dry and you end up with a hit and miss effect. Shape your mountain with the direction of your stroke with your brush. Put a ridge line in, pull it out in the direction you want the ridge line to run. This can take some practice. See how I'm creating an upside down V for this gully, and then a U in the shape of a very long U, and that will give you your shape. Create some rocky lines in it. To soften off that area. It's up to you how much detail you want to put in. excess in here. So get a wet brush and pulling the paint down. We're going to let that dry and then we'll put the background trees in. Okay, now the whole of your mountain is dry. I have set the board at an angle and I'm just going to bring some water in where the back row of trees are. I'm going to take a fine rigger brush with some light red, quite pale. If you start above the waterline and pull the brush into the water, you see how your trees drop into the water and mix. Make the trees all different lengths, don't make them the same size. Just allow them to drift into the water. Do you see how it's paling off as the brush picks up water, and you get an automatic transmission from a darker colour to a lighter one. I'm going to drop some yellow ochre, and also I want to drop in some of the sky colour of the Payne's Grey blue shade with just a touch of burnt umber. It's a little strong, so touch it in with some water. You'll automatically get mist as you gently pull it down. Changing to a different brush now because it's faster. Stronger in places. Yellow ochre in once again. Once again with the bouncing colour or the top of the sky colour. Payne's Grey blue shade with some burnt umber. Just add a few details to some of the tops of the trees. This will fool the eye. Quite watery. No detail on this side. The less detail you put on the edges of your painting, the detail that you have in the middle where you want it or where you want the eye to go will draw your eye to it. Some yellow ochre. Little bits of light red. And then we're going to leave that to dry. Now that that's dry, once again I'm just going to bring in some clean water along the shoreline where the next set of trees are. Payne's Grey blue shade with burnt umber, and I'm just going to add a slight bit more burnt umber to it just to make it a little darker. I'm just going to test it. Okay, once again starting above the waterline, just letting them go fuzzy and misty. Strengthening it up in some areas, just feeding colour in. I also want to drop in some cobalt blue from the sky, as this is a winter scene. Mopping up any excess paint off the shoreline. We're going to allow this to drift for a minute or two. Just allowing these trees to drift down. Just suggesting them just by dropping paint in. Just taking some cobalt blue and running it right along the bottom edge. And then letting that dry. Now that your background trees are dry, I'm just going to add some water to these two pieces of land. Taking some of the cobalt blue. Just adding some shadows of snow. Taking some of the Payne's Grey blue shade, just for some darker shadow. Just pull it back with a few strokes. Add a little bit in this side as well, just to create some difference in the shadow, different shades maybe. And let that dry. Now that it's all dry, I'm just going to re-wet the lake area, the water area, with some clean water. Naples yellow, all the colours of the sky. Bit of yellow ochre around here. Cobalt blue. All horizontal strokes. Just drop a little extra in where this shoreline is. Some of the sky colour, which is the Payne's Grey blue shade. So just the cobalt blue back in. Grey blue shade and burnt umber. I'm going to use this to put the reflections of the trees in, but at this moment in time this is just a little bit too wet and it will spread everywhere, so we have to allow this to dry slightly. Okay, I've left that at about 10 minutes. Now we're just going to check it. I think we might get away with that. And we'll just drop these tree reflections in. Payne's Grey blue shade with burnt umber added to it. I'm going to take a kitchen towel. I'm just going to damp it and squeeze it out. I'm just going to take the mounting out with this. I want it to be relatively soft as a reflection. There will be no detail in it, so you don't have to worry. It's just an impression that the mounting is there. And then we're going to let that dry. Now that your lake's really dry, I'm just going to take some yellow ochre and I'm just going to run it up this pine tree here. Take a little of it and run it up these couple of bushes here. Pencil ultramarine and burnt umber, really dark. Just adding more and more branches to it. So you have a couple of different colours. Taking a damp brush, just catch the bottom and soften it in. Come across to my pine tree. Soften it into the ground. To my yellow ochre, I'm just going to flick some grasses up. Just a few. Should be dry enough for me to remove the masking fluid. We'll use that for snow. Take some of the cobalt blue and just give a shadow side to some of it. I also just want to take a craft knife and I just want to very gently scrape some tree trunks in. Bring them into the lake. I want to turn the board round. I just want to put a couple of wind streaks in along here. Making sure it's level. Once again, back to my burnt umber and pencil ultramarine. I hope you enjoy these videos. If you are, please click the like button and consider subscribing if you are a new watcher. Subscribing is free, brings something to the water, and you are most welcome to leave a comment. I do try to reply. Birds in the sky, I think. Around to the best bit. This is where you get to sign it, mount it and frame it. I'll leave a link to the other videos I've made for YouTube should you wish to have a look at them, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.